You're live?
I think we're live.
You're live.
This is
live
what
happened. Healing TV. Episode number, I think, 59.
Yeah. So you can see we're all together
You're
today.
in good hands. You're in good hands.
You can see when Dr. Pompa
goes, I want to lower you down.
Oh, you want to lower me down? That's what I country. So anyways, I have to tell you,
sit on some high pillows.
we had quite the day yesterday, and sorry we're a little bit late, but that's what happens when Dr. Pompa is actually the host. And I'm here next to my co-host, fitness expert, Phil Kaplan. He's laughing because I said that probably 10 times yesterday because we were doing a show. So, and David is actually working on something else.
That nutrition program that you gave me to make me taller.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just see if it works.
Let's see.
Hold on.
We're going to hold on 1 second. So Phil is trying our make us taller things.
Whoa.
Phil's quite. If you would see what's going on
It's
here.
not working.
It's not working. Well, anyways.
Here we go.
It works perfectly.
I'm going to.
I'm IT today.
All right. That was probably the craziest start to a show ever. So that's what happens when Warren's not here. We misbehave, gentlemen. So
Good work.
Good work.
And we know that he's not
Same
watching
crew.
because his computer died.
Yeah. So David won't be here because we can't fit us all here. So thank you, David. But no,
He'll actually be here, just nobody will see him. He's right here.
I love doing shows with Phil. And yesterday we did quite a few shows, actually, because we're taking this 180 degree concept to the nation, I believe, to the world. We're flipping it, man. We're going 180. There's no doubt about it. You know, we know that this message resonates with so many people. You know, the message, the fact is the truth always lies somewhere opposite of what the experts say, and more importantly, what they say.
That's such a good way to say it, because the truth always lies, and then you pause.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like truth lies, you know, 180 degrees opposite.
That's right.
So yeah, that was fun yesterday.
Yeah, it was. We did have a lot of fun, and you know, it's we're teaching and preaching this from our heart, and we've been blessed, and we have some amazing opportunities, to really broaden this message, and bring it to the planet. That's our goal.
Well, you know why you're a genius?
No, yeah, I was thinking.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I was just trying to figure it out. No, because when you took this concept and kind of coined that phrase, 180 degrees, it's amazing how many things fall into that. I mean, just doing that yesterday, no thought went in. It was just spontaneous, off the cuff. And so many things are the complete opposite of what they said. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and we keep saying to ourselves, we have to do a show on that. We have to do a show on that. It didn't even actually happen at dinner last night. Right. You want to tell the corn story? Polenta. So we were eating at one of our favorite restaurants, right? And I hadn't eaten all day, and it was very he did say he was going to chew off an arm. That's one of Warren's favorite sayings. And you can see he's got a lot of muscle to maintain, so you got to keep food in Phil. Otherwise, you can get cranky. So we were there, and of course, Phil had ordered something, and I was asking questions about the polenta and the corn and asking my typical questions. And the waiter made it like the lamb shank goes with the polenta. It's like you can't separate the two, because that's what makes it so good. Yeah. It's the mushrooms, the polenta, the whole thing kind of works together. Right. So I'm going, wait a minute, if it doesn't say 100% organic, it's GMO. Now I'm drooling in the meantime. Yeah, I'm ready to eat anything. Yeah. So Phil just was like, just give it to me. He probably felt bad for the waiter, number one. Number two, he was literally ready to eat anything. Okay. So I'm like, no, you can't do it. We don't know. So Phil's like, all right, out of guilt and feeling, angry at this point, even at me, he's like, okay, just do it the way Pompa says to do it. So we order it differently. Dan, of course, will not eat anything GMO. And he knows that polenta comes from corn. And he knows that corn is, of course, genetically modified. So he's standing his ground, despite the waiter tapping into my hunger, going, you got to get the polenta. I'm going, okay. And Dan's going, no polenta. They have original wheat, right? They have original wheat. Right. But it turns out they didn't have that. Right. They didn't have that. There's farro, it's called? Yeah, farro, emmer. It's one of these original wheats. And they didn't have that. So now the guy goes, you got to go with the polenta. I'm like, okay. Dan goes, no, can't get the polenta. Anything's better than the polenta. Right, yeah, anything. Yeah, so don't risk the corn. Well, as it turns out, he comes back, 10 minutes later, and he brings a brick. Because his point was, no, this stuff's from Italy. I'm like, I don't even believe it's from Italy. You're not going to convince me. He brings this brick of polenta
And sure enough, it was from Italy. And his point is they don't do that there, right? And he is right. I mean, a lot of the European
but you're
nations.
still resistant.
I am. I want to.
Like, I don't believe this. It's all written in Italian.
So
I don't even know what it says.
That's right. So my son sitting next to me Googles the name, Googles the company, and lo and behold, he was right. It was certified GMO-free, which they did. They threw out a lot of the GMO in Europe. I mean, what happened in this country? But the European Union absolutely is saying no GMO. We don't want GMO.
End of the story is the waiter was right. I mean, that was good.
He was.
That was
the
good.
waiter was right.
And
I gave
by the way,
credit.
you promised to plug for the restaurant.
Girasoli in Pittsburgh. We love that place. Family restaurant, home cooked meal. So there you go. You're right. Thank you for that. So, well, you know, this today's show is something that I think one of the last shows I said, you know, I really want to do the show on. One of my clients said, Dr. Pompa, I want the 5 things, you know, that you do, you know, daily, all the time, that keep you looking young and keep you vibrant and healthy. And I thought, that's great. And I just kind of rattled them off to him. It was boom, 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 boom. You know, there's the 5. And I said, you know, Kurt, that's a great show. I'm going to do a show on that. And we did. So the same thing happened this week. So one of my clients said to me, I'm just having trouble with lunch and what to do, you know, with that simple, easy meal. I don't cook. I need something very simple. I'm thinking to myself, that's me. I don't do much cooking either, don't want to. And she said, but so it has to be simple, but it has to be on the diet. And I want just 10 things that you do. And I said, I answered you, I said, I am not the one to answer this because I'm not the cook, right? I'm not the one who does things. But then I said, but I'm going to attempt it. So I started just typing out 10 things. I'm thinking, I will never get to 10, but I'm going to make it and I'll get to maybe 5, 6, or if best 7 and say I tried and, you know, I hope this helps. Well, I just rattled off 10. I mean, it was actually easier for me than I thought. So I want to share those 10 things that I do because I don't want to take time to cook. I'm a very busy person. And, you know, that 1 or 2 o'clock meal in my afternoon has to be really simple. You know, and admittedly, most of the time I just do some type of little protein and some fat, whether it's coconut oil, X Factor butter oil, and some protein, and I move about my day. But I came up with 10 things that I do, actually, and I realized, you know, I do these things very often. So I want to share those 10 with you, and I want Phil to, well, applaud, yeah. No.
Okay, you read them off.
No, obviously I could just rattle these things off and the show's
Let's
over.
talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. I want to
A good place to start would be with the first one.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So number 1 was, and this is very simple, you go in all the health food stores, they have the Applegate turkey breast, chicken breast, right, and it's organic. You take that, and I make lettuce wraps with it. So you go in there, I put a little bit of cheese on it, I take some romaine lettuce or lettuce, and I wrap it up, and I get the it's the healthy mayonnaise made with the grapeseed oil. Put a little bit of mayonnaise. Sometimes I like those good organic kosher pickles. I just got really hungry talking about that. And I put the meat, and I put the pickles. I put a little bit of the mayonnaise, and I wrap it up, and I eat that as a snack. Literally takes me a second to make. You like that one?
I like it, and it's interesting because, you know, back in the bodybuilding days for me, you have to get to a meal like every 15 minutes, right? You gotta get a lot of food. So we used to do that. We would look at the turkey, the sliced turkey, as kind of the wrap, and we would stuff all kinds of stuff in it. So that's nice that you do that. And I think you could come up with a whole bunch of different options. I bet the viewers could probably come up with what else they could put on.
Absolutely. Black olives. Black olives. That's wasabi too. You know, wasabi is actually good. Yeah. I mean, if you can,
because I'm thinking some celery in there, with
a
little bit of wasabi mustard.
Most mustards are good.
Crunchy. Gives it the crunch.
Most mustards are good. Most mustards are healthy. It's typically mustard seed ground up with a little bit of vinegar and some spices. That is what really most mustards consist of. Now, with that said, you know, you'll get the bad mustards. They'll start loading up sugars and some other things. And if you can't read it, don't eat it. That was one of our messages.
Yeah, no, I just like that idea because you can create a lot of different meals using the turkey as the wrap for it.
Yeah, right. Well, we do the turkey on the lettuce. So that we don't have to actually, but I've done what you said. I've literally taken the turkey, I put black olives, a little bit of the mayonnaise stuff in there, and rolled the turkey and just ate it like that too. But of course, if you actually
take those little toothpicks with the frilly stuff on top, and then you could like serve them to guests.
now he went beyond. Now we're talking about garnishes.
All right, we've only covered one.
Yeah,
So
you're
what's
right.
number
So
two?
Number two, cheese that's organic, okay, and grass-fed. Raw is best, right? But I mean, most cheese, you know, that is raw is typically a good cheese, but grass-fed is the most important. But I typically can just literally in the middle of the day chunk up cheese. I bring it with me. I used to give it to my kids when they were young for snacks. So just some good hunks of cheese with some olives, things like that. That's a quick, easy meal. And people wouldn't think of cheese as a meal, but it's a perfect food. It has the perfect fats, perfect bacteria. You know, I love the Beyond Organic cheese because it's loaded with very unique bacteria. But cheese is a perfect, absolutely. And the rind has all these unique
most
bacteria.
people throw away.
All these unique bacteria in it. And, you know, that's the thing. People don't think of cheese as a food. It's literally a perfect meal.
You know, we've had some adventures, and one of them we were driving across Florida, and we stopped in a grocery store, remember?
Yeah.
And we were trying to find something that is organic, satisfying, tasty, and it's hard. It's hard navigating the grocery store. And I remember what we found.
That was a regular grocery store. Organic pistachio nuts.
We got some avocados.
Right.
And we got some cheese.
That's right. That was a meal.
Right. I mean, you gotta look. It's not easy to even find raw cheese. I mean, even in a grocery store.
But we did, though.
We did.
We did. It was a regular grocery store. We found some raw. It was actually grass-fed raw cheese. It was fantastic.
It was $600, but it was a good meal.
It was a darn good meal. And then the pistachios, which is actually a really good point. So if you have some cheese and some nuts, you know, now you have something going on.
The question is, how do you break the pistachio addiction after? But that's a whole.
Yeah, the whole car was filled with pistachios. Remember the scene? I think it was not Airplane. What was it? Where the cops were sitting in the car and you know, they were sitting there all day staking somebody out, and they were eating pistachios, and then they were going, and there was conversation. They were still eating pistachios. Finally, they had to get out of the car to go, you know, bust the person, and they couldn't get out. They went to open the doors, and the pistachios were too high, and they couldn't get out.
I can see that. Like when we got out of the van, all of a sudden we opened the door, pistachios started dumping out.
So, okay, number three. All right, you know, one of the things that again, this is probably something you have to get not in a regular grocery store, but in a health food store, they have the cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. It reminds me of my childhood with a little salt, pepper, and olive oil on it. You can even slice up some avocado, but you have to watch out because most of the cottage cheese is fat-free or 2%. You know from this show that we go for the whole fat, the whole real deal cottage cheese. And by the way, in Whole Foods I can speak of, and I think in most health food stores, they have the grass-fed cottage cheese from grass-fed cows. So, you know, that's a really good choice.
It's funny you say that because, you know, there was a time that, of course, everybody was looking for low-fat, fat-free. And my parents asked if I could stop at the store for them to pick up a few things, and one of them was cottage cheese. They didn't have whole cottage cheese. It was all fat-free.
If you went to a regular grocery store, I bet that would be true.
Yeah.
Well, you know, let's talk about just for a quick moment, because this is a major 180-degree concept, and most of our viewers, you know, they get that we're 180 on this low-fat thing. But let's talk about the bodybuilding days. You know, this guy sitting to my right, I mean, he really is a celebrity. I mean, he was very good friends with Joe Weider. He wrote many of the articles in Flex magazine, Muscle and Fitness, and I do have to tell a quick story on that. And, you know, back in the day, you were probably writing articles, as was I, somewhere different, perhaps about low fat, right? I mean, go low fat, right? Well, I mean, that was the bodybuilding thing. I mean, don't eat fat. Am I right?
You know, in the very early days of bodybuilding, when I first started in competing at 19 years old, here's what I learned. There are two parts of the year. There's the bulking season and there's the cutting season.
Okay.
And in the bulking season, rice, potatoes, you know, anything that you can get. And then you go into the cutting season, tuna out of the can.
Yeah.
Right? Tuna in spring water out of the can.
No
you don't
fat.
Want to get any fat.
Zero fat
at all.
At all. Right. Yeah.
And you're right, as time went forward now, and there were more options. People would say, is dairy good or bad? Well, the low-fat choices are the good choices, right? So, you know, we learn a lot. We learn a lot.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things we spoke about yesterday that's relevant here is when somebody does something altruistic and positive, and they bring about a change in a food or a food source, if the food manufacturers can exploit that to make money, they run with it.
That's true.
And that's exactly what happens. So when you talk about the sheep concept, you know, everybody following, well, back in the day when low fat was attractive, everything, every single thing, even if it didn't have fat in it to begin with, it would say fat-free. Fat-free. Because that was,
and then it began to the point where even us, you know, even if we were recommending low fat, we realized that the most unhealthy products, excuse me, were low fat, right? I mean, if you wanted an unhealthy product, low fat, sugar-free became the same problem, right? I mean, if it said sugar-free, typically you were ingesting chemicals that actually made you more fat. You know, low-fat products became that thing that made you.
You know, what's a great example, because we covered this yesterday. One of the shows we were shooting is the cooking spray, right? It says for fat-free, calorie-free cooking, 0 calories, 0 fat. You look at the ingredients and it's canola oil. It's 100% fat. But the food companies learned if we say low fat, doesn't matter if it's true, you know, people will buy it. So as the sheep follow it.
And yeah, they can manipulate the serving size and how that works to literally say no fat, no calories, no nothing, but you're spraying canola oil, which is pure fat.
Right. I think the law says that there's less than half a gram of fat in a serving. You can call a food fat-free. But they don't regulate what the food companies refer to as a serving size.
So a serving size is a drop.
On that,
there's no fat.
It says 0.2 grams.
Right.
So it's 100% fat, but there's less than half a gram of fat in serving.
It's tricky marketing. You know, before we leave this topic, well, one point is that on this topic of like low fat and the marketing is today, what are we seeing today with that same thing? The money makers saw what the public wants, and now it's gluten-free now. Right? I mean, gluten-free everything. And they've heard me say this on this show many times. You know, if it says gluten-free, look out. It's probably something that's very unhealthy that raises glucose with tapioca starch, potato starch, this thing, dextrose. I mean, all these things that are actually called super sugars that actually raise glucose more. So watch out for gluten-free products, just like low fat.
You hear that? It's the sound of number 4 coming up. Because we got stuck here. We went off on a tangent.
I know, but you know what? I'm not listening to him on this because I have to tell the story. Then we'll go to number 4. He's trying to get me off track because he knows what story I'm going to tell. So this is a true story. So Phil, you know, his mom, when his wife was pregnant, ex-wife was pregnant with your beautiful daughter Brooke. Commercial break.
Yeah, commercial break
for Italian polenta from Girasoli, and then it went into another commercial about gluten-free products. So sorry about the commercial break.
Welcome back.
I was telling the story. And that's why, yeah, you actually, that's what I'm thinking, actually. He didn't want to tell the story, so he hit it with the foot pedal. Okay, so the story is that his mother was lecturing the fitness expert that his pregnant wife should not be working out while she's pregnant.
Dan met my mother. He knows my mother. So you get the whole thing.
Yeah, the typical Jewish mother, you know, and preaching to him that this is not good, Phil.
She should not exercise.
She should not
exercise.
Yeah.
She's pregnant. Do you understand? A pregnant woman needs to rest. What are you doing? Stop her. Stop her. Yeah. What's with this trainer? You should not have a trainer. She should be with a doctor. She needs to rest.
All right, so should I do a Italian mother imitation? It's about the same, by the way. Okay, so, you know, now here, fast forward. So one day she picks up this magazine on the coffee table and she starts reading.
In my house.
In his house. Starts reading from this article. Well, you should listen to this. And, you know, and a woman.
Muscle and Fitness hers.
Muscle and Fitness. And, you know, and this says that a woman in the first trimester, actually some exercise can be helpful and this. And she's stating all these things. Finally, Phil walks over and says, give me that. And he looks and he says, Mother, look at the author on the article. She looks at the author. It's Phil, right? Phil wrote the article. So instead of saying, okay, well, you were right, she puts the article down and it was never talked about ever
Which
again.
Leads me, and I think everybody will be able to relate to this, mammals are not wired to learn from their young.
There you have it.
So you can't teach the parents.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I had you talk to my mom.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that worked either. So they're just wired not to learn.
It was fun, though.
So, no, it was fun. So that does bring us to number 4. David carried off my phone. This isn't my phone. You took mine.
Okay, so come on.
So
pressure.
Number 4 was I was looking at my little list, right, and I had it on my phone, and David, of course, fixes the problem, walks off with my phone. So now I'm going to think. Okay, we had the cottage cheese. It was, I'm going to get this out of order, coconut. I think this is number 5. I'll find number 4 in a minute in my head. But, you know, if you go to the grocery store and you find the real coconut, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this, again, maybe this is too much work. Sometimes you can have it already shelled. But you got to take the coconut, pieces. And if you do this, you can have them in your refrigerator all week, right? But I love taking those coconut pieces and putting some raw almond butter or cashew butter on those coconut pieces. And I love eating those as a snack. Amazing fat, you know, and obviously just satisfies that hunger. So that
when you get the raw almond butter, the oil is separated, like you have to mix it.
The raw almond butter, yeah. I mean, sometimes, no, not every brand does that.
Yeah, why is that? I just wonder if there's a process when they sort of homogenize it that is.
Yeah, I mean, because it says just for almonds, but you know, so I don't know the answer. But
okay, so organic raw almond butter.
You better text Dave and tell me. That's my thought in case I'm not going beyond many of these. Okay, so I'm going to have to recreate this. I think I hear feet coming down the steps. I hope that's for me. But anyways,
text him?
Yeah, text him. Oh, I know. Just we talked about the avocado. I'm sure it's his phone because he took my phone. The avocado. I love using a little bit of avocado, and I do different things within it. So I cut the avocado in half, and I can either put black olives in there. Yeah, you
have my phone.
Yeah, they're cracking up right now because I was winging it because I was doing my top 10.
That's what happens when you talk about the iPhone 6 Plus. You talk about social, and then all of a sudden we get the same phone.
Crazy, right? So let's see how I did. Okay, so I did. So
we rehearsed the show.
Yeah, that's right. So real coconut piece with almond was 5. I was right on that. So the one that I missed, number 4, was grass-fed yogurts now, which you can actually buy in those health food stores, right? Of course, I love Amasi because it has way more. Look, I know where the product comes from. These cows not only grass, but they eat grass from cows that, you know, are doing this high-intensity grazing. So the nutrient levels are through the roof. The fat is perfect. The bacterial levels, unique, different. But let's say you can't get Beyond Organic product for some reason, but you should look up how to do that on our website. But you can just go and you can get different grass-fed yogurts. But once again, Phil, we run into the problem that most of the products are going to be low-fat yogurt. So I know that people like the, what's the Greek one now, right? They like that. They have a full-fat version that people love. There's many grass-fed options that are full-fat. But again, that's probably
Ricos, there's Chobani, there's a whole bunch of
oh wow, yeah, he did better than me. Yeah. The names.
I'll tell you what. So the best marketing is for Yoga.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
They actually list the probiotics, right? So you look at that. If you're looking at the wall of
if they're listing them, that means what? They're just putting them in, right? So they're putting in some probiotic.
And then they feed the probiotic sugar.
That's right.
That's what they do.
That's exactly what they do. So when you look at these products, there's no listed probiotic. I mean, especially in a mouse, because they're not putting it in. It's there naturally. Right. Yeah, so good tip. That was good. I like that. Number 6, I did say that one too. I said the avocados, different things with the olives. Olives, you can make a lot of different dishes, just slicing an avocado in half. And I even have people like almond butter with their avocado. Which seems really odd, but cottage cheese with it is great. You know, a little bit of olive oil, another perfect meal. So that, we're getting through it. Number 7. Oh, okay. Number 7, if you go into health food stores, they have the healthy hot dogs. They have the bison hot dogs. They have the sausages now. So, I mean, people don't think of that because they think of a hot dog as being bad. But Applegate, some of these other, you know, companies now, many more. They make healthy, organic, grass-fed hot dogs and sausages. That to me is a quick meal. Even me, I can throw one of those, you know, in the oven or boiled water or some way to cook it, and that's a quick meal. So now slice up an avocado with that, and now you have a combination. Now you put a little bit of the cottage cheese on there that we talked about. Now you have another combination. So now we're combining these things into snacks. Anything you want to say that from the bodybuilding world about that?
No.
All right. Well, here's one from the bodybuilding world that I think you'll relate to. Hard-boiled eggs. I bet you were one of those people that literally had hard-boiled eggs everywhere, traveled with hard-boiled eggs, stunk up your car, right?
Yes.
I was one of those people.
I had a cooler. There came a point that you couldn't wash it out anymore. I mean, it smelled so bad that you would throw it away and buy another cooler.
Because invariably the eggs break open, and eventually the eggs. You know, you could go into any gym back in the day, as we say, and you know there was always a hard-boiled egg stench somewhere, or a tuna stench, as you mentioned, because you know the hard-boiled egg, you know, was something that was part of every bodybuilding diet. However,
it was the perfect protein.
However, what did we see happen in those days. You had brought this up yesterday, and I
the yolk became evil. The evil yolk. You must only eat the egg whites.
That's right. So of course the bodybuilders back in the day, and many,
because all the fat, the bad
right,
stuff, is in the yolk.
So they, of course they would do the egg white omelets. They did, and, you know, I mean, by the way, you still, even in Whole Foods and other places, you can still get the egg beaters. Is that right? It's the whites,
yeah,
just the whites. Yeah. So you can still.
There are some bodybuilding centers, you know, gyms, health clubs, where they have a juice bar, and as one of the base liquids that they put in, they'll put in liquid egg whites. So that's like the super duper muscle building shit. So they have the big, it looks like a milk container.
Right, yeah.
It's just egg whites.
The egg whites, yeah.
Right, so do you want water? Do you want milk? Do you want almond milk? Do you want egg whites?
I'm going to go 180 on this, and I'm going to tell you, here's what I do for my very, very sick clients. I'm telling them to add extra yolks. You know why? Because, you know, someone who's sick and challenged, the fat heals the membrane. You know, R number 2, you know, regenerate the cell membrane. That's how you fix hormone problems. That's key for weight loss resistance. That's key for just about every hormone problem. So what is in that egg yolk that we know that helps that cell membrane so much? Well, there's a few things.
Saturated fat.
You got it. Cholesterol, right? The 2 main fats that really stabilize the insulin receptors, or the thyroid hormone receptors, or the leptin receptors, the hormone receptors in general. And then also, egg yolks actually are loaded with something, sulfur. So many people that are sick and challenged are actually sulfur depleted. And once you become sulfur depleted, you actually have trouble detoxing, especially things like heavy metals. So when you take in more egg yolks, you're actually increasing your sulfur. Cholesterol sulfate, where cholesterol meets sulfur, is actually the most important fat for the brain. So cholesterol sulfate you actually need for your brain to work. Cholesterol sulfate you need to really make so many neurotransmitters, plays a major role in just thinking normal, feeling normal, almost every process in the body. Most people today are actually cholesterol sulfate deficient. That's Stephanie Seneff's work.
For the guy who didn't have any meal options, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, yeah. Can you believe that? I mean, I really didn't think. I just went back, you know, into like these things that I do, which brings us to number 9, which is actually, this is something that my kids actually reminded me of that I used to do. And I would make them drink it, and they got used to it after a while. They called it Tigger shakes, or Tigger juice is what they called it. I would take romaine lettuce or spinach. I would put it in a blender, and maybe even just a piece of orange, a piece of an apple. And
put water in there, or it would be enough?
I would put some water in with it too. So a little bit of water, and I would blend it up. Now you would think that that would taste absolutely horrendous. I would like a scoop of whey protein in mine typically. So now I have basically a balanced meal. I have protein and I have salad. You know, I just wasn't one of these people who had enough time or even desire to put a salad, chop it up, put it in. My wife now, she's the big salad eater. She makes the salad, she puts the olives, the olive oil, and she loves it. She'll sit there and chomp on this thing. It's not even making it for me that's the worst thing. If someone makes me a salad, I'll eat it. But even then, for me, it's just chomping, all that chewing and all that chewing. I'm done with it after a few chews. I want to move on to the next thing. I like drinking my salads. My wife, you know, never agreed with me on this, although she did drink a few. And it's because I would make these things with the whey protein. I would even put some olive oil in, maybe some avocado. Like I said, just that piece of apple or orange just livens it up just enough. And maybe you could add a little bit of stevia too, which I did at times. But those Tigger drinks, as my kids call them, was the way I got salad in my children. And that's what I did.
Funny? I recommend a drink very similar to the people who go through my program in the later weeks of the program. And some people go, yeah, it's horrible. When you don't let them see the color, they appreciate the taste. Like people get freaked out by the green drink, or if you put beets in there, it turns like a weird shade of red. Yeah, exactly. But if you put it in a cup that they cannot see it,
that's a good
all idea. Of a sudden they appreciate the taste.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Until they look at their lips. When they go upstairs and they look at this and they're like, oh, what's he feeding me? So, but yeah, I mean, those that's another thing from the bodybuilding days. I mean, not the lettuce necessarily, but I mean, surviving on shakes, right?
Yeah.
So you know, so the shakes, the hard-boiled eggs, and the tuna.
Oh,
did you guys eat anything else besides those? 3 things.
Well, in bulking season, we would go to the Chinese restaurant and get chicken fried rice, and we would get like buckets of it. Yeah, because we were bulking. You know, we were carving up.
It's so funny. I remember it as another 180 concept. You know, the bodybuilder was in that cut phase, right? They would get on. I remember them on the bikes or the treadmills, going for hours, right? And they would just sit there and do their low endurance in that fat burning zone. Now today, you see the bodybuilders wising up, and they're doing more of the high intensity, knowing that raises growth hormone, and
Well, there's a whole new level of freakish bodybuilding today.
The evolution of a bodybuilder.
They don't want to burn calories other than in their workout. So I see some gyms have like 2 or 3 floors, and they have an elevator for handicapped, and the big, 300-pound, 6.6% body fat bodybuilder goes and waits for the elevator because he doesn't want to burn calories going up the steps.
Listen, I would not have believed it. There was a guy in our gym. His name was Gene, and people that know me could finish Gene's last name. I won't embarrass him, but he would probably watch this and laugh with me. But Gene literally would not cut his mother's grass. So, my friend and I would just roar because he wouldn't cut his mother's grass because he didn't want to burn muscle. Yeah, he didn't want to burn calories. So, because in his mind, he was going to lose his muscle. That's the sickness. And you're right. He would take elevators. He would not take stairs because he didn't want to burn calories to burn muscle. Dude, that's sick. The evolution of a bodybuilder, they go through that phase. Talk about that evolution. They start because they just want to be that teenager who's not scrawny, and they put a little muscle on. And then from there,
that's a whole show.
Yeah, that's a whole show.
Yeah, we'll save that.
But let's just say where it ends. It ends in that monster that we just partly described.
Who believes that he's not bigger.
It's true. And never can be bigger.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, okay. This is one of my favorites. So I take hemp seeds, chia seeds, or salba seeds. And by the way, this is number 10, so we actually made it.
Roll them up and smoke them?
No, that's fine. No, we don't use the CBD. We actually just take the seed. And I like to put it, if you can get raw grass-fed milk, great. But I do a cereal with it. So maybe you get unsweetened almond milk, unsweetened hemp milk. I put the seeds in the bowl, and I pour a little milk on. I eat it like cereal. Add a little stevia, some blueberries.
Good.
Oh my gosh, right? I mean, from my childhood.
Makes them really good? Dates.
Oh man, now you're like, now we're salivating here. But and some coconut shreds was another thing that I loved adding to that. It adds a little bit of crunch. And I actually even add some walnuts oftentimes if I have them. Right. Because it adds the crunch and you get the seed. As it soaks into the milk, it becomes very soft.
It actually has a very different consistency than regular cereal. So at first, you're kind of surprised by it, but then you realize it's better.
Yeah.
Right?
For my childhood, that was like the thing that I missed. Was sitting down and eating on Saturday morning that like bowl of cereal and,
What's your favorite?
So, embarrassingly enough, I think it was the pebble. What's the Fred Flintstones? Fruity Pebbles. Yeah, and like that, the way it crunched, and I like honeycombs as well.
Mm.
See, I have to say, it's like I did grow up on a relatively good diet because all my meals were cooked at home, right? Mm-hmm. I remember eating eggs almost every morning, but the cereal addiction, I do remember that at one point where I would just carve up. But we ate really healthy because back then moms cooked. Everything was cooked, and we didn't go to fast food restaurants. And I think cereal was probably the worst thing that we were
Which
eating.
was nowhere near
where it was today. I mean, there was no GMO.
Did you ever get the snack pack where it came like with 8 little boxes?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was my addiction. I mean, no doubt about it as a kid. But all in all, we were blessed to not have to deal with a lot of the foods that
we had probably 20 of those little boxes of shredded wheat. Because nobody would eat that one. Everything else, we eat like the Lucky Charms, the sugar pie, everything else, I did. And the shredded wheat would stay there.
But I actually liked the shredded wheat at one point. Oh yeah,
should have came to my house.
Yeah, but here's what I would do though. I would sprinkle like all sugar all over it, right? But I liked the crunch. I remember then they had the mini ones and the big ones. I actually like those big ones.
Yeah.
They were literally like
But they didn't have sugar on them, so you added
sugar. Yeah, I'm sure I overdid that. I remember literally, embarrassingly enough, is just like scooping piles of sugar as a kid. My parents like, you know, they didn't stop me. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe I hit.
It's a different world. I mean,
yeah.
we were different as biological creatures, and the food was different. The truth is, what people are eating today, when you mount it up with GMO and sugar and processed and bleached, and
it's a mountain.
It is a very different.
Yeah, it is a different world. You know, no doubt about it. And you know, yesterday we did talk a little bit about excitotoxins, and you know, when we were kids, we didn't have those chemicals that they put in foods, and it probably just started then. I mean, you know, sometime around then. But today, these companies put these chemicals, excitotoxins, and probably the one most watching know is MSG. But it's gone so far beyond that. All the colorings, and they're all excitotoxins. And there's other chemicals they're putting in food to get our children addicted to the food. Talk a little bit about that, because it stimulates part of the brain that creates the addiction.
Yeah, there's something that the food companies refer to privately as bliss point. And what bliss point really is, if we look at it chemically, it's enough of a dopamine spurt so that there will then be a dopamine drop.
And by the way, when you take a drug, you're getting a dopamine spurt.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, so whether it's cocaine, whatever it is, you're getting a dopamine
The
release.
addiction center of the brain is called the nucleus accumbens. And there was a very interesting study where they took rats and they put electrodes, they wired a machine, a device, to their nucleus accumbens. And there was a lever. And every time they hit the lever, it stimulated the nucleus accumbens. That was a dopamine rush. The rats that had that lever and learned to use it all starved to death because they didn't eat food. They would rather hit that lever all day than eat food.
You know, it's scary. We're seeing our children.
And that's what the food companies are doing. So the excitotoxins really become a metaphor for that lever.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you do see that in children. When you look at kids today, you know, they have this posture of an anterior head. You know, they look malnourished. If you follow them in a day, and I've had that experience. I went to my kids' ski camp with them, and I watched what these athletes were eating. You know, they literally were eating excitotoxic meal to excitotoxic meal, sugar-loaded, chemical-loaded, artificial sweet. I mean, everything. And then guess what was sitting next to their beds? These were athletes. Medications. Yeah. So then their medications were next to their beds. So they're eating those foods. They were addicted. They were hitting the lever. They were addicted. None of them want broccoli. None of them want grass-fed meat. None of them want real food. Because, again, they would rather starve and hit the lever.
You know, you just reminded me of something. I'll keep it very short. But my daughter, when she was 3, 4, 5 years old, we had a neighbor across the street, and they became good friends. And the neighbor was a little older. She was fun. She was a fun girl. They used to, laugh together. But every few hours, she would either cry or get into a funk or start picking at her fingers, always something. And it would be because she needed sugar. And she would run home, and she would have some sugar, and then she would come back, and she'd be fine.
Yep.
And she was diagnosed with all sorts of, high-functioning autism. I mean, she had all kinds of diagnoses. And I went to her mom and actually bought a program from my friend Mark Hyman, and I gave it to her. I said, I just want you to understand the link between the way you're feeding your daughter and the reactions, because all of the medications that you're taking aren't making her better. Do you see that? And she never spoke to me again. I mean, the mom just got mad. Like, why would you talk about my daughter that way?
Yeah, you know,
when you witness it.
Yeah, and it's horrible. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I mean, because one day she'll look back at that conversation, I believe, and say, he was right. One day.
She did take the program, and she never gave it back. It's an expensive program.
All right.
So if you're watching.
Well, listen, I think that's our show for today. But
did you cover 10?
I did. I said that. I said, by the way, that was 10. We actually got.
Yeah, I just wonder if you skipped one.
Do you want to add one? You probably have some tricks. Come on, add one. Add a bonus. Give him a bonus, Phil.
I don't have one. But I will tell you this. When I was in Costa Rica, if I tell you the whole story, it's completely inappropriate, so I won't. But my buddy and I went into this village. We wanted to see how the people really live, not the tourists. And they gave us coconuts, and they had a thick, it's like a reed that you jam through the coconut
to get the milk,
and you drink it right out of the coconut. Yeah. I got to tell you, I never tasted anything like that.
Yeah.
And just the other day, I happened to be in the Whole Foods, and I saw they sell coconut, with a little straw. And sure enough, it's from Costa Rica.
No, so someone said, let's take this to the planet.
Right. But I really think that, it takes a lot of work to learn to eat well. It does, because there are so many forces working against you. But once you get there, just like I said, when we went into that grocery store, we had a hunt.
Yeah.
but we found it, you know, and it's worth the hunt.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is worth the hunt. But, you know, I think you said the challenge there because, you know, we're telling people, look, you've got to be a 3%er, you know, to really even be able to go after the hunt, right? I mean, and typically, unfortunately, it takes somebody losing something that they cherish very much to go after the hunt, whether it's their energy, their sleep, their anxiety, or faced with death. I mean, you know, which we have all the time. Then people are willing to change. You know, I believe 3%ers, you know, can make that change even without it. But look, you know, it takes a 3%er to go 180 because, you know, we're hearing a message day in, day out that fat is bad, that this is good.
My hope is that
very
1 year from today, we call it a 5%. Like, let's hope
That's
we
the
make
goal.
enough of an impact.
That's the
So
goal.
we can.
Yeah, you know, every time I lecture before an audience, I state those statistics, but I always said, but my hope for this group is that we reverse that. 97% move forward today.
Right.
And you know, the thing about being a 3%er, we always say it's a decision. It's a decision to say, you know what, I am tired of being tired. I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of seeing my kids this way. Change, make a decision today, go 180. We'll see you next week. And maybe one of the big future shows is kids' health, kids' diet. I think that's a great show. So, and maybe we even have Phil back for that because I think you added some.
And most of your viewers were kids.
Really? I didn't think about that. Yeah. That's true. So everyone can join, even though it's about kids. So we'll see you on the next show. Go 180.
Bye, everyone.